Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Obvio. Oh, look at that blue. Impressive. Same timing. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good morning for me.
Hey, hey.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be here today.
Well, I'm not really. I
Um,
just like
looks
to
like you are.
get it. Well, Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Obvio. Look, I could blue. I could talk to myself. Sorry about that. Um, I just wanted to get it started, say hello, and then I'll do my dad duties for a little while. So I'll leave it with you, Blue. Hello, everyone. I'll be a phantom.
Hey, Grant, random.
Yes.
Did you hear back from Andy at all about the chat thing?
Uh, I haven't heard back from him, but I know that there was a change in the latest update. At least there's some changes on the breakout room chat. So when you're going into a breakout room and coming back, you get persistent chat, which is what it always used to be. But then they changed it to where you lose it all, and I feel like that's somehow related. And so, but I'll chase him up.
Yeah, check. All right. Sounds exciting. All right. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Where do we want to start today? There's only a few of you, so why don't we dive straight into questions? Heather, do we have anything lined up?
Yeah. So I have one from Jeff. He says that he has multiple employees that are joining a client call on Obvio. What is the best way to set it up so that each person shows up with their own name and email? Currently, I use their organization name and email to create a single attendee.
I mean, I think the best way to do it is to have them each be their own attendee. I think, but I may be misunderstanding that question. You can unmute. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Hey, Blue. So the situation I'm having is schools are joining these. These are like event planning calls, and often at the last minute, the person who's signed up via Calendly to have the meeting will invite the whole team of staff, but then they all show up as her name, right? So it's really confusing who's who. So what I've been doing in the past is just creating the attendee with the school name. So it would be like Vili Middle School, and then they show up with that. But then it's nice to be able to address by people by name in the meeting. So I was like, I wonder if there's a way to put a form in between or something where they can enter their own name and email. It creates an attendee, and then they're let in immediately.
Yeah, I mean, the closest thing to that is the room registration links that exist inside the room pages.
Okay.
Which essentially do what you're talking about.
Or sign up. Sign up, Blue.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't know enough about yeah, you could do sign up too. Okay, so two options then, Jeff. One is on the room page. You can turn on registration enabled. And then when you do that, if you grab that link, when people go to that page, they'll be asked for their first name, last name, and email address, and then they click join room. Now that bypasses the dashboard, and it takes them straight into Zoom. And there's not a whole lot of restrictions on it. So the area doesn't have to be open, but the room has to be open and there has to be at least one attendee in it. So that's one way to do it. Jeff, remind me, are you using Enterprise or are you using, because
I'm on Pro.
Okay.
I'd like them to hit the dashboard though, because like the agenda for the call is there. So it's nice for them to hit the dashboard first before joining Zoom.
For sure. So the other option then, to Grant's point, is to use the sign up feature. And the sign up feature means that on the login page, there is a link like this that takes them to a login page. And you can also just give them your URL/signup, which will actually take them directly to this page.
Okay.
And then you go first name, last name, email address. And once they do that, they'll wind up on the dashboard, and that creates an attendee for them as well.
Perfect. That's awesome. The only caveat is I need to add a tag that says join meeting so that the Zoom button appears. Is there a way to add that step in there, or is that more complicated?
Um,
No, I'm getting fancy.
yeah. So what you're saying is you're only showing the join button to those who have a specific tag.
Yeah. So the dashboard, it has a lot of great information about the event that's coming up that they're going to. And so once I finish a call with a client, they can always go back to the dashboard and get that information. But to prevent them from showing up when I'm having a meeting with another client, I, remove the join meeting tag. And that way the Zoom meeting button doesn't show up. They can never get back in the meeting once we've had, our private meeting together.
Got it. So as of right now, this has been something that we've been talking about, but the sign up feature doesn't currently apply a specific tag.
Okay.
That's something that we've been talking about. And that may solve your problem, which is like to come here and, this or in the settings on the sign up page, if they sign up here, it applies a specific tag to those users who are created. We just haven't done that yet.
Do you know if that's in development? I'm just curious, I guess, how likely. My other workaround is I could just delete all of the attendees right after a meeting, and that way they couldn't get back in necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the question is how many people are we talking about, and how much effort do you want to go through? Because what you're talking about doing is, if we do apply that tag and you have 15 people join, you then have to go through each attendee. You have to find all the attendees who have the join tag, and you have to remove that tag manually from each of those people.
Yeah, as it stands now, after the meeting is done, I go to the attendees and remove the tag. So I've never had more than 10 people on the call.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's usually not too big of a chore.
Is there a lot of return to future calls?
I've not tracked to see that. I just knew that it would be embarrassing if I was meeting with one school and another like administrator showed up or something, because just trying to, prevent that.
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes sense.
I kind of doubt it would be an issue, but it would be really awkward if it happened.
No, totally. Well, and that's why I'm wondering, like, does it make more sense just to clear the attendees? The only downside to this is if you're giving out the login URL and we're applying an automatic tag on sign up, and I'm from another school and I go and I sign up, I'm going to get that tag, regardless of whether or not I have to begin with. So this may not solve the problem you're thinking about.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Any other workarounds pop up just off the cuff?
Blue, I missed all of that, but my initial thought was around using labels, using a custom field, a group field as a label.
Yeah, that doesn't help him though. So the other thing, I mean, if we were to add a tag on creation, and you changed that tag in between calls, Jeff, and then had the join call button be associated with the new tag for the next event, then you wouldn't have to remove all of those individual tags. So those 10 people you wouldn't have to do. So that may be your best bet.
Okay.
Let me see if we can get that onto, let me see if we can push that through to the top of the list, because it's been something that I've been wanting to do anyway. And truthfully, we have an event coming up that I kind of wanted it for as well.
Okay.
but I hadn't pushed. But this gives me a reason to. So I think I have somebody on the team who would be able to knock that out pretty quickly. So
Awesome.
yeah, let me talk to the team, and yeah, we'll hopefully have that ready by next week's call.
Great. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Great suggestion or use case.
So the next question we have is from Heather. She wants to know if there are multiple salespeople, do they do breakout rooms, or how can you rotate between salespeople?
I mean, that's up to you. You could do it either way, Heather. You could have a button on the dashboard that is, talk to a program expert, and then you could have each salesperson be in their own room, kind of the same way we do tech check. And when that link is clicked on, then it'll go to the person with the least amount of people in it. What I will tell you though is there isn't any logic inside of that says go from this person to this person, this person to this person. It's simply how many people are in each room right now. Assign this person to the room with the least amount of people. What that means is if you don't have a ton of traffic and everybody only ever has like 1 to 2 people in there, you may wind up with a salesperson who gets more than others. So that may not work effectively, because if at the end of an event, one salesperson has received 20, even though it was only 21 at a time, and all the other salespeople only got 5, you're going to have a salesperson problem on your hand. Not an event problem, because it'll always have been balanced, but you're going to have a salesperson problem on your hand if you do that. So what we tend to do is we usually put them all in the same room and then put them in breakouts, and then have somebody in the main lobby room or the main room, moving people into breakouts as they arrive, welcoming them and saying, we're going to put you with, Melanie, and we're going to put you with Heather, and we're going to put you with Irina or whatever. And then that person.
So this particular client, they do these 3-day events and their price points like 20-30. And so this is they told me they want people to kind of, where they raise their hand by filling out an application for the inner circle. And then through the salespeople, there's like 4 of them. They kind of like, okay, this one's going to go to Melanie. Okay, Melanie's, and because they don't have like this structured time, sometimes they talk to them for an hour or 2 hours, just because it's such a high ticket, it's going from free to that price point. The concern they had was they don't want to do rotation because they don't really know what's going to happen on time. But what I'm hearing you say is an alternative is 1-click button, go to kind of a hallway, like, well, Heather's hanging out in the hallway. And then Heather's like, oh, look, Melanie's almost finished. Just a second, Grant, like kind of that, like almost like moving people around that way to one door, and then they go into breakouts. Is that the best way?
Yep.
Okay. I could sell that to them. They're not sure. Like they've never done this virtually. And when they did do it virtually, they literally are texting them and like, come into the breakout, and they're breaking them out from the main stage. And I'm trying to explain to them that perhaps let's do another direction strategy.
Most people who do that, usually in my experience so far, most people who have done that didn't have a central hub or dashboard for their attendees to flow through, right? They were all just dealing with Zoom links. So they didn't want to make it complicated and have to share another Zoom link, because when you click on a Zoom link from inside a Zoom meeting, it's a weird experience. So once all of a sudden you have a central hub that attendees go and come back to, now all of a sudden it's a different thing, and the experience for them will likely be much better.
Okay, I will. That's the one. I wasn't sure when they talked to me. I'm like, I'm going to get on the call and ask Blue and see what he says. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. All right, next up, Heather.
Question is also from Heather. She said, my client wants to come on these calls. They are admin on the account. Are they getting the support Obvio calls?
Yeah.
Yep, no problem. Just send them to update.obv.io.
Okay. So are they getting these emails like the support? I don't know if they are. I haven't asked them. No.
No,
Okay.
the only people who get the emails that invite people to these calls are the
Yeah.
ones who have joined already at least once, as well as anybody who is signed up for Obvio or receives Obvio through Leap. But anybody can go to update.obv.io and right at the bottom, right? So the link that your magic link for this dashboard takes you all the way in, right? But if somebody
Right.
goes to update.obv.io, they'll see this don't already have an update account, click here to register. And they can click here, put their first name, last name, and email address, and then they'll wind up on the dashboard for attendees.
Oh, perfect. Because there's one girl in there. She's kind of like a me, and she needs to be in here, and like that. Okay, update Obvio.
Yeah, update.obv.io, and that'll solve that problem for her.
Oh, thanks.
Cool.
The next question is from Irina. This is a side question to the Obvio team. I had a debrief call with Barry last Thursday. When can I expect the recording and transcript of it?
That is an email events@poweredbysage.com, and the team can help you out. Irina, I don't think that's something that we generally do automatically, but if you email events@poweredbysage.com, let them know when your call was, the team can pull it for you. That's no problem.
And the next question is from Heather. My client wants to use Obvio for an ongoing high ticket mastermind. What are the dates I use?
The start date of the first call through what you anticipate is the end date of the mastermind. If you're not sure, then, make it a year from now, and you can go from there.
We can just change it because this is their big ongoing 30,000. It's been going for 10 years. So I'm just trying to potentially have them move over and see what it looks like to do the masterminds over here. So
our Leap dashboard, I believe, has an end date of 2025.
Oh, okay, great. That's
So,
thanks.
Yeah, there's no real and now that we've changed the structure of the credit system no longer being in existence, it doesn't have any effect.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm hoping that I'm selling it on them. So we'll see what happens. But right now they're just using a bunch of Zoom links. I'm like, this would be so much easier experience, but we'll see.
Right. And then the other thing to remember for masterminds is what most people do with masterminds is they just share a Zoom link, and it's the same link for every single call. And then when you remove somebody, that person kind of still has access to the calls. Now, most of the time, most people don't take advantage of that, but anybody at any point could just click on that link and wind up in the call. And you may not want them to do that. And the nice thing with Obvio is you can just turn it off. You can turn off their attendee or delete their attendee from the platform. And now everybody else doesn't have a new Zoom link, because that's the other thing people do sometimes is they'll change the Zoom link and send a new link to everybody in the program. But now everybody has to change all their calendar invites and all their all of the places that link appears. But with doing it through Obvio, you just manage it through the attendees, and nothing changes for the rest of your attendees, only for the people who are no longer with you.
Thank you for saying that. I will tell them that and sell them on that, because I'm sure they have people that, do that. So that was awesome. Thank you. I mean, I didn't think about that. So.
There you go. Dwayne, for a mastermind, is it $1 per seat per visit? I think what you're referring to is the old credit system. Assuming that's the case, the credit system is no longer. So all Obvio accounts now have essentially unlimited events and for unlimited duration, and they have a cap on the number of attendees that you can have. Now you can increase that cap on a per event basis, but generally speaking, if you're on Obvio Pro, it's a 500 attendee limit. If you're on Obvio Essentials, I believe it's 50. And then if you're on Enterprise, it's 1,000. And then there's a cost associated with increasing your event capacity. So if you're on Obvio Pro and you have a mastermind group of 50 people, hypothetically speaking, and you want to create an event for 52 weeks, it's all just included. There's no additional cost per mastermind person.
Thank you. I did have one other quick question, and that is, how can we tell what level membership we have? Is that under our organization login?
Yeah, if you click on the top right menu in Obvio and you click on billing, like I am right now, and then you scroll down to the bottom, you should see which is your current plan. So it'll say cancel. So in my case, I'm an enterprise user, right? In your case, it'll probably say it for your elite member. So it'll probably, you probably will have a fourth plan visible, but it's essentially Obvio Pro.
Okay. All right. That's helpful. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah. Because the elite plan is slightly different than Obvio Pro. And I honestly, I believe that the major difference is just the cost.
All right. The next question we have is from Anna. Her AV team wants to know how they can get more faces on the screen. Is there a max amount per screen?
Yeah. So Zoom allows for up to 49 attendees to be visible in gallery view. There by default, that is actually set to 25. But if you go into your Zoom preferences and you go to the video tab, right down at the bottom, you'll see a radio toggle that is either 25 or 49 participants. Now, there is a chance that your AV team is using an older computer that isn't capable of doing 49, but the reality is, and I don't remember exactly what the specs are, but pretty much any computer that's an i7 Intel-based computer after like 2022 or sorry 2012 or something like that, and then any i5 that I think is either a quad core or a dual core. I don't remember which of those two it is, but I mean you can look at those are Zoom limitations. So Zoom has those specs listed somewhere on the internet, I'm sure. But bottom line is you can change that between 24 or 25 and 49. To go beyond that, per screen, per TV, that's actually not doable unless you're doing something fancy. But what I would say to you is we have just about as much fancy equipment as we can muster in our studio, and we never put more than 49 faces on a single screen because they get too small. So what we generally do if we're trying to get more people visible is we add additional screens to the mix and then have those different screens be on different pages. Because if you've ever been in a Zoom room that has more than 50 people in it, and you go into gallery view, you'll see these little arrows to the left and to the right of the grid, and it allows you to page through multiple pages of Zoom Gallery. So that's generally speaking what we do. Yeah, so for your wall of screens, Anna, what you would be doing is you would generally speaking have a different computer connected to each of those screens. And then those computers would be connected to the Zoom meeting and would show or display a different view of the gallery view from, so if you have 1,000 people in a Zoom room, you can have 20 screens up, each connected to a different computer, all connected to the same Zoom meeting, but all just on a different gallery view. So as you look across your bank of 20 televisions, you're not seeing the same 49 people over and over and over again. You're seeing variants of who those people are.
So a computer for each
Screen.
For each
Generally,
so each screen has its own computer. Is it a Zoom room per computer as well?
No, we're using Zoom meeting in all of these things. So it's not a different, it doesn't have to be a different Zoom meeting per computer. Like, so if you're putting everybody in the same meeting, they can all be, each one of those computers can be connected to the same meeting. So you may have like 20 versions of you in the Zoom meeting so that you can show different gallery pages from the same meeting. And that keeps your life simple without having to mix and match different Zoom meetings. If you can avoid it, I would.
Very clear. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, Heather.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Oh, I love it. It's our last question. We're 26 minutes in. Go ahead, Heather. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, so this client's doing a trying to do an evergreen challenge. We'll see. We're playing with that. If they go past 49, is that the max of one? Do I need to create a different stage? Am I making that? Let's say they have 100 attendees.
Yeah, you're talking about two different things. So
Okay.
I think what you're talking about is the limit of how many people you can have in a room. And what we were just talking about with Anna is how many people you can see from a room.
Oh,
and those are two different things. So you can have up to 1,000 people in a Zoom room, assuming you have the capacity in your event to do that. But technically all of these rooms are high capacity. So you can have 1,000 people in there. And then it's just a function of how many, then it's just a function of how many screens you want to have up to see those Zoom rooms, but you don't need them.
Okay, great. Okay, that makes sense. Thanks. And then the other thing is, in Obvio, is it set up, or can we set it up where when people come on, there's no ding and there's like ding, 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 like that. And also they're automatically muted. Is that something that we need to do before we start the call?
Both of those things that you're referring to are in meeting settings. So how you get to those settings is once you launch your Zoom meeting, you go to the participants pane and you click on the three dots. Is it the participants pane? I think it is. And actually you click on more. And then in that there is several options. Number one, mute on entry. You're going to want to have that checked. And then number two, it says play, join, and leave sound. You're going to want to have that unchecked.
And where are you? I'm sorry, where are you?
The participants pane inside of Zoom. So even in the room that we're in right now, you're not going to see very much. Because
I'm not a. Okay.
Yeah, here, Heather, just so you can see it, because I can't actually display that.
Maybe a screenshot or something. Okay, cool.
Okay, so you're currently the co-host of this meeting. So go into your participants pane.
Okay.
And you're going to see the more option.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And then in that menu, you see mute on entry and play, join, and leave sound. That's it. They're just check boxes. When you select them, they just check or uncheck.
Okay, perfect. That's what I needed. That's it. Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, that's it. They're trying to do the challenge evergreen. So we're working out some kinks at the moment. But yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm excited for them. So yay. We'll see how it goes.
Sweet. All right. Well, there you go. What other questions do we have?
Okay, one came through from Anna. Regarding attendees, I have to add attendees for our last two webinars. One, I noticed I paid $250 for 250 attendees and 200, sorry, I'm trying to read this properly. 250 attendees for $100. Which is it? That's the first part. The second part says, why am I having to add it every time? And third is, we had 2,000 registrants, but only 590 showed up. What are we doing wrong?
Great. So lots of questions in there. I'm going to start with the first one. There is a typo in the front end of Obvio that we're aware of. That is, I think it should be fixed actually, but if they haven't all been caught, then we're working on it. But there was a typo that displayed the price point for increasing your event capacity as $250 for 250 people. That's not the case. For Obvio Pro members, it is $100 to increase your event capacity by 250, up to 250 people. That is a per event fee. So if you have 10 events, all of which have 750 people, it will be an additional $100 for each event. I think that answers part of that question. The other part of that question, I'm going to give you two things. Number one, I'm going to tell you about something that I'm hoping to have done in the next week or so. But when I say that, it usually is longer than a week. So, just double anything that I tell you from a time perspective, and you'll probably be closer to accurate. But our hope is to have it done in about a week or so. We are transitioning the Obvio system, the Obvio attendee system from a registered attendee system to an active attendee system, meaning you'll be able to have 1,000 attendees registered for your event, but if only 250 show up, you won't have to pay additional. Okay. Whereas right now, if you register 1,000 attendees, but only 250 show up, you're paid for registered, which is how the system has always been. So we made the internal decision this week to, we've been talking about it for a while, but based on the technical capabilities of whether or not we can do it, we had to make a decision as to what an active attendee was, number one. And then number two, how do we transition the existing system to only charge for active attendees rather than registered? So it's obviously a complicated system to deal with. But we've tasked the development team with doing that, and it should be done in the next week or so now that we've kind of functionally discussed exactly how to do it. And what an active attendee member, or what an active attendee is anybody who has clicked on an Obvio magic link and accessed the platform. So if you have your check-in system turned on and they've created a password, they're considered an active attendee. If they have signed the waiver, they're considered an active attendee. If they've been tech checked or checked in, if you have tech check turned on, they're considered an active attendee. If they land on the dashboard, they're considered an active attendee. So basically, the moment they interact with the platform, with Obvio, we consider them an active attendee. But know that in your case, if you have 2,000 people registered, but only 500 people are active, then you won't actually be charged extra. So that's number one. Number two was, I heard a question in there, what am I doing wrong? I'm going to start by saying it sounds like your event is a free event. Is that fair to say? Is it a free event for 2,000 people and only 500 are showing up? Yes or no? Just give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay. I'm going to let you know the dirty little secret about free events. They suck. Okay. Free events are not I mean, listen, let me rephrase. They suck from an attendance perspective. But once you know that, then it's much easier to deal with it. What I will tell you is I was recently in a room with a bunch of names that you may or may not recognize, all of whom do free events that are much bigger than anything, I can imagine. And for the most part, their show up rate is under 20% for a free event. I will tell you our show up rate, like we did Offer Camp last year, we're doing it again this year. Our live show up rate for Offer Camp is under 20%. Okay. Now I'm hoping to get that higher, And that doesn't count replays, but our live show up rate, again, this is a free event, is way different than when we have a paid event. That's one of the reasons why we decided to make the shift internally from registered attendees to active attendees, is because when we moved away from the credit system and went to an unlimited event, unlimited duration model, the idea was, how can we get people using Obvio more consistently, right? How can we get you to use it for your free challenges, as an example, or for your longer form free events? Well, this is another step in that direction, right? Because we recognize that free events don't have the same show up rate as paid events. So, and at the same time, an event or an attendee inside of the platform that doesn't take any action doesn't really cost us anything. Now, we have been using the number of attendees in the platform as a way to scale our infrastructure, right? To anticipate how many attendees or how much system resources we were going to need. But we've also gotten a lot better over the course of the last 2 years or so with how many people are going to show up. What are our resource requirements, right? When we launched on March 31st of 2021, which is about 2 years ago now, we didn't know what those numbers were. So we were using attendees as part of the metric. So, for all of those reasons, we're able to move away from using registered and relying on active, which should benefit you pretty significantly. So with all that being said, what am I doing wrong? At 25%, I'm thinking not much, right? I'm thinking I'd love to have 25% show up to my free event. I'm kind of thinking, what am I doing wrong? Not what are you doing wrong? So while I appreciate the frustration of having 1,000 people or 2,000 people register, but only 500 people show up, you're ahead of the curve. How about that?
I appreciate that. I think maybe I did not ask the question correctly. Really, what
Awesome.
I'm asking.
So I went on for 5 minutes about the wrong question. I always love it when that happens.
It was actually really great to hear all the stats, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
My question is the functionality of the attendees. I get that we have to pay for the attendees coming in. I can't launch the meeting unless we pay those and add attendees. I get that. My question really is...
That's how it is today. That's not how it will be later this week.
Oh, perfect. Okay, that's great to know.
Now, if they show up keep in mind that one minor caveat: an active attendee isn't necessarily an attendee in Zoom. It's an attendee that has hit the dashboard at some point during the duration of your event, right? That's kind of the distinct. It's a little bit different. Yeah. Makes total sense,
and that will be very helpful. My question is, if we have up to 10 Zoom rooms available to us, could we possibly have to avoid the payment of the attendees, or not avoid? I'm not trying to avoid paying you. What I mean is to bring it, as a workaround.
So, okay. So a couple of, minor distinction. That number 10 used to be accurate. You used to be able to have up to 10 rooms in a particular event. We've changed that a little bit to you can now have unlimited rooms inside of a particular event, but across your entire account, you can only have 5 rooms open at any one time. So it's just a minor distinction, because things changed in November when we launched all of our new plans. And some of this stuff we've kind of kept a secret or perhaps didn't do a great job of telling everybody exactly how it worked. So hopefully that kind of helps a little bit.
Luke, can you say that again? Can you just repeat that last part of the numbers?
Yeah, you can only have up to 5 active Zoom meetings in your account at one time. Now that means you can have like 3 in one event, 2 in another, and then you can turn off 2 in one and turn on 2 in another, or you can turn off 3 in one and turn on 1 in 3 other events. It's a total number of 5 active or open Zoom rooms at any one time. Now, in terms of you can have an unlimited number of rooms created and ready, right? Which is different than what we used to do. That used to be limited to 10. Now it's unlimited. You can have as many Zoom rooms ready to go as you want. So that's one thing. Now, Anna, can you ask me that question one more time? Because I'm always curious about how we can help you. I'm not being facetious when I say this, be more cost effective with the platform. So ask me that question one more time.
Sure. So we have this monthly webinar and right. So we moved to Obvio last month with it. We use Obvio for all our meetings now. For everything. It's awesome. We love it. But for this particular event that drives more people to it, obviously you're fixing that side of it. I'm having to pay you, right, to add attendees. Someone mentioned somewhere, and I was trying to find that communication. This is why I want clarity, that if I created or I made, let's say 5 of those rooms active that I'm allowed, that would allow for more attendees.
Not really.
Okay.
So inside of an event, there is a per event attendee cap. And the number isn't going to change. How we count it is. So right now, how we count it is you can have 500 attendees in your attendee list. So when you go to the attendees tab, if you have 501, then you need to increase the capacity of your event, right? So that's just total number of attendees. And that's what you're getting caught up against, right? Because you're going to 2,000 and you're needing to add 6 blocks of 250 in order to get to a total capacity of 2,000, which is costing you $600. Totally get where you're going, right? Now, how we are going to change the count is we are only going to count people who show up or are active on your event. Now, what that'll change for you is you'll be able to add 2,000 people or 10,000 or 100,000. It doesn't matter. But if only 500 people or less show up, you won't have to pay anymore. But if 501 people show up, now all of a sudden you have to increase the capacity again in those same 250 person blocks, the same pricing, none of that changes. It's just how we're counting is better for you.
It sounds great. That is a great solution. And I'm wondering if it's going to be a live situation where I'm going to have to be watching the numbers and making sure that those people, because I don't want anyone to, I'm assuming everyone, it's going to be a post-event charge.
It's
automatic
during. So there's a couple things that, okay, so it's an interesting question that you're asking. Number one, if you hit your capacity in the middle of an event, okay, your attendees will never not be able to join, ever. That is one of the things that we have kind of decided internally is the locks that we put on the platform never affect your attendees. So your attendees will never get a message that is like, Anna hasn't paid her bill, so you can't, join the event. That just doesn't happen. But what we do is we do lock the user interface on the back end, right? app.obv.io, right? That user interface will get locked automatically once you have more than 500 attendees. And it'll say the owner of this account, if let's say it's a team member and they don't have the permissions to purchase credits, right? What it'll say is the owner of this account needs to increase the capacity of this event. Please let them know and they can change that. So you won't be able to change the event, but your attendees won't be affected. Does that make sense? So if you're on stage in the middle of something and you don't have to worry about it because your event has already started, technically you can finish. And then when you're done, the next time you log into Obvio will say, hey, you went over capacity. You need to purchase the thing. So that's number one. Number two, the second part of it is going to take a little bit longer, but another thing that we decided this morning as part of this same discussion is we are going to be modifying the system so that the purchases for additional credits or additional capacity is automated. So you no longer are going to have to take action. But if you go over capacity, then the system will automatically purchase additional capacity for you.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. So again, that way your attendees are never locked out. That never affects them either way. But this will allow you, if you don't have team members who are helping you to manage this, but they are, doing something in Obvio, they won't get locked out while you're in the middle of doing a conversation.
Thank you so much. You completed it for me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, no problem. Chris, max attendees is 1,000, right? It depends on the account type that you have. Most of our users are using Obvio Pro, and that Obvio Pro account type has a 500 person per event cap. What you may be remembering, because you've been with us for a good long time, is the original version of Obvio came with 1,000 attendee credits. And that was a total number of attendee credits that you could use over the course of a year. You could have as many events as you wanted, but you could never have more than 1,000 attendees. Once you did, it would cost you $1 per attendee. That's where that buck and attendee question that you asked earlier also came in. When we then changed to $1,200 credits per attendees, for the year. And then in November, the credit system went away entirely, and you can now do unlimited events for up to 500 people. So you could literally have an event every single week for 500 people for 52 weeks, and it wouldn't cost you a dime. What we're talking about now is changing that one step further to make it even more advantageous for our users, where you no longer even, you can have an event for 2,000 people as long as only 500 show up, like what Anna was just talking about. Now, in all cases, there is a pathway to increase the capacity of your events. It changes, the price point to do that changes slightly, but it's always done in 250 attendee blocks. So if you are an Obvio Pro user, which most of you are, you can increase your per event capacity as a one-time fee for each event by 200 and 250 person increments for $100. So, if you have 750 people, it's an extra $100. If you have 700 people, it's an extra $100. If you have 650 people, it's an extra $100. If you have 501 people, it's an extra $100, right? So I can give you the marketer side of me, which wants to say that previously, if you had 750 people, it would cost you, and you had to purchase 250 credits, it would cost you a minimum of $250, although for most people, credits were $2 a person. So it would cost you $500, and now it's only costing you $100. But it is done in 250 person increments rather than a per attendee charge. So. All right, so what Chris is asking in a DM, I did one event for 1,000 Obvio attendees, imported a few weeks ago, but I wanted to have 8,500 people, but ran into a pretty big hurdle to that. And my guess is that hurdle was cost, which makes sense. So we had 1,000 imported into Obvio and 7,000 people coming in via YouTube and Facebook Live. All right, so you can have 7,000 people in Obvio, and the way it's currently counted, it's registered, but let's just pretend we're 1 week from now and the system has been changed to count active attendees, meaning if you have 8,500 people and only 1,000 show up, you're not going to get charged for the extra 7,500. You're only going to get charged for the 1,000, of which 500 were included in your account. So 10,000 8,500 people This is nice and easy. 500 of them are free, right? They're included with your account. And then it is essentially $400 per thousand, right? Because it's 250 person blocks, $100 per block. 4 of them is $1,400. So you're looking at $2,400 to have an event for 8,500 people. So that's the math. Dwayne asked me a similar question. 10,000 attendees, is that $3,800? It's 400. Yes, actually, yeah, that is what it is. That's right. Yeah, and then Chris said they had 450 of the 1,000 that were registered in Obvio actually show up. So if we pretend that we're a week from now and the new way of counting is in place and you had 8,500 people in the system, but only 50% of those people showed up, then it would cost even less, right? You'd be charged for, let's call it 4,000 to make all of our lives easy. Then that 4,000 person event would have only cost, instead of, because we're counting active, we're not counting registered, then 4,000 people would have cost 400 per thousand. So whatever that is, 2,400, 1,600, 1,800. I can't do math. 4 times 4, 1,600. There we go. That's it. I know there's a lot, and I know it's a little bit confusing, and I appreciate that. We keep promising that we're going to do a calculator that allows you to actually see how much your event is going to cost. So just punch in how many attendees you're anticipating, and the system will tell you exactly how much it's going to cost. We have not done that yet because we haven't landed firmly on a pricing plan. Obviously, that price keeps going down. Yeah, there'll be that. The one thing that we're not talking about through all of this is additional Zoom rooms, right? So you have 5 active Zoom rooms. Chris, in your case, for that 8,500 person event, if only 50% of them showed up, you only need 4 Zoom rooms or 5 Zoom rooms anyway, so you would have been covered. But if you had to open up a 6th Zoom room, then you can purchase additional Zoom rooms through the platform. It's an additional $100 per active Zoom room, and that gives you access to that extra Zoom room for 30 days. So the attendee blocks are per event, but the additional Zoom rooms for higher capacity meetings are for 30 days across your entire account. So in theory, that additional Zoom room, that 6th Zoom room, could be used not just for that one event that you're working on, but for any other event that you have as well. All right. How many questions about counting did that generate, Heather?
I'm not counting.
Okay.
Shall we move away from the counting?
Please make it stop.
Okay, so Sarah asked, so she's doing her first 3-day event in June. I would like to know how much notice the Obvio team needs to review what I have created to make sure it is correct.
You can hop on one of these calls at any time and we can review it together. We often will pop open. I haven't done it on this call because nobody's asked a specific, like an event specific question for an active dashboard. But we oftentimes will pop open attendees or users dashboards and support that process. So you don't need any notice. You just need to join us on one of these calls. Awesome. Thanks, Arena. Thanks.
The next question was from Dwayne. He put this in the Zoom chat a little bit ago. He said, is there a library of registration pages or dashboards for creative inspiration? When will the sales page and ticket checkout integration be added to the Obvio?
There is not a library of inspiration yet. Dwayne, I love that idea. There's a number of things that we would need to put in place in order to actually do something like that. Not the least of which is, from a privacy perspective, because a lot of our users are doing paid events and they might not want their dashboards shared. So while I can see everything, and our team has access to these things, it's not something that we generally will actually share with our users. To the point where you probably noticed even recently, a little bit more recently than I have in the past. But if I'm about to share my screen on somebody else's dashboard, I'll actually ask for permission. Right? Is it okay for me to share my screen because I'm looking at your event? Yes or no? So I don't know about that one, although I love the idea. But in the meantime, you do have some inspiration. That inspiration is in the form of the sample data on the dashboards. And if you hop on one of these calls and you just kind of start chatting with us about that, we are not opposed to looking at, like when I do share dashboards, they're usually dashboards that we control inside my account. And very open to sharing that stuff with you guys. That answer that question. Was there another one built in there?
Yeah, he wanted to know when the sales page and ticket checkout integration would be added, which it is. You just need to email us and we can give you access to it.
Yeah. So
at obv.io. Sorry.
Exactly. No, it's okay. Marketplace and communications are both still in we'll just call it closed beta. So it's not something that's open to all attendees, but at the same time, all you need to do is request access, and we, generally speaking, say yes and give you access. And the system is already functional. The reason it's closed currently is we have a series of usability things that we would like to have in place before a wide launch on those two features. But if, like Heather said, if you just email help@obv.io, we'll turn them on for your account.
Great, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And we're back at a lull. No one is asking us questions.
Oh, well, they just love to hang.
Something came through the Zoom chat. Sorry, what are the two features, sales page and checkout?
Yeah, so sales page and checkout are essentially the same thing. It's what we call the marketplace system. And the marketplace system allows you to sell tickets to your event through the platform without having to use a third-party service to do so. There's a fee associated with it. There's a 3% platform fee that Obvio charges for that. And then you have your Stripe fees. We use Stripe as the processor to manage that because Obvio isn't the processing system, it's Stripe. So you set up a Stripe account through the platform and you tie it to Obvio, and there's a fee from Stripe, and then there's a platform fee inside of Obvio. There's a couple of things that I'll tell you that are hopefully upcoming that we've been testing even recently. One is SMS. So as of right now, once that feature is turned on for our users, if you sell your tickets through the marketplace and you turn on the ability to collect a phone number, you'll also be able to send SMS messages to your attendees through the platform, and there won't be an additional fee for it. As it stands today, unless you sell your tickets through Marketplace, SMS won't be available. However, part of our larger conversation this morning revolved around having a fee per use on the SMS functionality if you didn't sell your tickets through Marketplace. So there's some things that are kind of happening on that front to allow anybody to use the SMS system, not just people who sell tickets through Marketplace. Yeah, and no additional fee, Heather, but of course, remember, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but there is a 3% platform fee to sell your tickets through Obvio. But no, there's like, if you have 100 people in your event and you want to send them, 6 text messages over the course of 6 days or whatever, all of that stuff's included. It is pretty awesome. All right.
Does anyone else have questions?
Sure, go ahead.
I haven't seen this sales page really, or marketplace. Is that something you could share? I haven't even seen that.
I can trying to think of I have not done a whole lot.
It just looks like, I just wanted to get a feel.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Let me double check some. I'm trying to remember where I had a where I had a sample.
So in general, it's just a basic one-page landing page. It's
Correct. Yep. Yeah, it is not we are not trying to compete with ClickFunnels or any other platform that allows for complex or super fancy shopping cart pages. What we are looking to do with Marketplace, the goal behind it is to give our users who don't have the capabilities or the gosh, I'm trying to find an event that has a Marketplace page set up. Sorry, it's taking me a moment.
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking probably basic. I mean, it's not trying to be a ClickFunnels page, but it's just like, a simple, like it's like an Eventbrite kind of feel.
Yeah, it is similar to that. It does give you a little bit more flexibility than Eventbrite does,
Okay.
but truthfully not by much. So just give me a second. I'm almost there. I think TV4 is where I set it up, actually. Let's see if this is it. Ah, yes. Okay, so let's start by just showing you a sample. So this is an example of a page that we created using the Marketplace sales page builder. So you have a logo, a date, a little header area, some stats, some column-based content. And then as you scroll down, the ability to purchase either an all access or a general admission ticket, and then actually purchase down here. Now, how this page functions is not all that different from building the dashboard. So there's a shopping cart editor, and you can go through and add sections. So new sections, there's 3 different types of sections that you can add. There's hero sections, there's content sections, and then there's a ticket selector section, which there's one down here. Or actually, sorry, this is the ticket selector section. And then there is the checkout section, which is right here. And once you have the checkout and the ticket selector section on the page, you can't add any more of those, but you can continue to add additional hero and content sections. So in this case, we had one content section right up at the top, and this was a 2-column piece of content, logo on one side. When we looked at the right side, there was just a title and that was it. It was a pretty simple section. Next section down is a hero section. We had a logo, and then from a styling perspective, we had a background section, and that was it, nothing else in that section. And then down here, next section down, we had a 1-column section that just had a headline and nothing else, even though we could put additional stuff under it, we didn't. And then next piece down is a 3-column section that had a little bit of like 522,000 attendees. In the middle, it had 214 million viewer minutes. And in the right, it had 475 million generated, right? So that's how, and then the styling is how you actually modify all of the different pieces and parts to make it look the way it was. And then the next section down is also a content piece, which is column based. It's a 2-section content section where the left column is thinner than the right column. It's like a 2/3, 1/3 sort of deal. And then you see that on the left, there's a title that says virtual event on virtual events, or virtual events or live events. And then it has a little bit of text. And then on the right-hand side, we have this image in place. So it's a pretty straightforward system. And if you're used to making modifications to the dashboard, how this page was built is very similar to that dashboard. So that's kind of your, the different pieces and parts, and you have a little bit more functionality, right? So if I wanted to, I didn't like how that separator was touching the gray bar, I could make those tweaks. If I wanted to change the order, very similar to the other items, I could take the little square box and move it up one, right? So I changed my sections. That probably doesn't make sense, but that's basically it. So that's the shopping cart editor. It's a lot more robust than some of the other systems, like some of the other simple ticketing systems that are out there. And in some ways, and then it's also a lot simpler in others. There is no thank you page on this particular system. All that happens is inside of the purchase form, there is an area that is the thank you text. So once somebody purchases, you can add a congratulatory text that includes information about what ticket type they purchased, what email address they have. You can include their login URL. You can also include the purchase price of the ticket by using some of the variables that are allowed, right? So order total, ticket name, etc., email, first name, last name, login URL. So you can embed that information into the thank you text. So you don't get forwarded to a thank you page. It all happens on this one page, which is right here. And once this claim your seat at TVE, or once this person goes through the process, right? So if I type in my first name, my last name, Bluet, powered by sage.com, I skip the cell phone, I add my address, and I, change my country and my state. I do all of these things. And I say my billing address is the same. I then get to a final purchase form. I would type in my credit card information and click confirm purchase. Once I do that, this whole section will disappear and the thank you text reappears. So it's a pretty straightforward piece. This works in combination with communications. So under the communication submenu, there's something called purchase confirmations. And if you do use Marketplace, you're going to want to send out an email to your buyers that is a purchase confirmation. So you can come in here and you can type out your registered email and give them all the details. You can include their magic link or login URL in that email really, really easily and turn it on. And this email, this purchase confirmation email, is automatically sent on purchase of the actual event ticket. So the moment the person buys the event ticket, Obvio will create the attendee inside of the platform, and then it will also send them this particular purchase confirmation email. You can have multiple ticket types, including free ticket types. And then you can also do some things like if I wanted to create a ticket type for LEAP members, but I didn't want that ticket type to be on the primary selectable page, you can do that, right? So this direct page, this /registration page, gives you a view of all of the tickets that are available. But if I were to create an all access ticket by duplicating my original, right? And making an all access leap ticket, and then calling the slug all access / leap, and then say that this was a hidden ticket, but is only going to cost $297 or $97, but they're still going to get a VIP tag. All right, so I'm going to save this ticket type. What'll wind up happening is if I go to the registration page and refresh this page, you won't see the leap general admit or the leap ticket type because it's a hidden ticket. But if I go to the URL that's associated with that particular ticket type, then you see the all access leap ticket. So you can have kind of hidden ticket types for people who are special invites, or you could do a complimentary ticket this way as well, etc. So it's fairly powerful, but it still has, I'll tell you the biggest reason that we haven't fully released it is the shopping cart editor is a little difficult to work with from a blank page. I even find it a little bit challenging, mostly because there's no design inspiration. So what we're planning on doing, over the course of the coming months is having several checkout pages designed and then building those checkout pages inside of the platform and giving you the option the same way when you create an event, you can pick a template. You're essentially going to be able to pick a template, even though there aren't really templates for for Marketplace. It's all just one page builder, but we're going to give you the ability to have a starting point by selecting from 2, 3, 4, 5 different checkout pages. So once that's in place, then we will be making the system more readily available to users. That's the main thing that's holding us back, because it is while very powerful, it's just a little difficult. Not everybody's a web designer, and you guys are using Obvio because you want to create great events and host great events, not because you wanted to learn how to be a graphic designer and design web pages and checkout carts, right? Like, that's not why you're doing this. Maybe some of you are, and if that's the case, then email us at help@obv.io and we'll turn on Marketplace for you.
So really love that. I mean, thank you for sharing that, but that was awesome because your setup, how you have it, it really is really great for, low ticket events or challenges or just really simple things to get out to test an offer, just to test something versus having to do a host sales page. So I'm glad you showed that because I haven't seen it yet. It was really, really good. I think I already have it turned on and I'll try it. I had a question on one part. Is the main page, you're calling that not tickets? What was the next one underneath it?
Sales page.
Sales page. Okay.
So it's actually, I think it's called a shopping cart page. Yeah.
Shopping cart. So shopping cart's the sales page, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have a section above that, tickets. Is that different? I just thought that was reversed in my head.
Say that one more time.
So you had tickets and then shopping cart, and I'm like, wouldn't that be reversed?
Yeah. So the difference are tickets are where you create your different ticket types.
Price.
Right.
Okay. Got it. Prices.
This is like your manager. So you can say, okay, how many different ticket types do I want? You can have unlimited ticket types. There's no real limit. And you see, all right, I created a general admission ticket here. There's an area to put a description of what that ticket is, what tags are going to be applied to the attendees who purchase that particular ticket type, what the price point is it active, is it inactive? There is the ability to have available from and available to. Those are optional. And, one of the things that you can do there is if you had like an early bird ticket as an example, right? Yeah. So let's just hypothetically do something. I'm going to say for my general admission ticket, which is $97, I'm going to make it available on May 1st at midnight. Okay. That's what I'm going to make that particular ticket available. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and click save. But if I take my this general admission ticket, duplicate it, and say, all right, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this early bird, right? And then I'm going to say my early bird ticket is available to May 1st at midnight. And I'm going to remove, actually, I'm just going to make it available starting in the past. And then I make this ticket $47 and click save. So now I've got an early bird ticket that is available from now until May 1st at, actually, I think I March 1st. I screwed up that date. But you get the idea. Available until May 1st at midnight. There we go. So my early bird ticket is $47. It's available from March 1st until May 1st at midnight. And then my general admission ticket, which is also which is $97, becomes available at midnight on May 1st. So you can create some ticket types in advance and essentially do some marketing around this. So you can say, all right, you know what, until May 1st, I'm going to have my early bird ticket be available. But once the early bird ticket is no longer available, I want it to just automatically go. So you don't even have to do anything. You can do this stuff in advance. And now, I don't remember if this happens right away, but your early bird ticket, see, I've got an early bird ticket at $47. And then on May 1st, this early bird ticket will disappear and the $97 ticket will appear.
Wow, this is really good. I'm really excited about this because I think that
there are definitely it has some very powerful features, like some things that I've thought about from a marketing perspective that we would want. The pieces that it doesn't have and that I really we don't want to get into the middle of is like it doesn't have the ability to do a one-click upsell, right? Or order bumps, or, you know, have a sequence of pages like, okay, on the next page, there's an upsell option and so on and so forth. If you want to get fancy with those sorts of things, that's when we always recommend ClickFunnels or other platforms like that. But if all you want to do is create a simple page that allows you to actually be a lot more than just simple, because you can put as many of those content sections as you want. That can be a super long form sales page. And then, you know, you can put buttons inside that page that will take you to the order form section of that page. So you can get really creative with it. But there's a lot to that. So again,
it's really good.
Some of the reasons that we've helped.
That's the first time I've seen it, but that's really good. Because like you said, not every time you need to do an event, you have to have the upside down. You don't need all that. It's just like, get them registered, you know, just get them registered and then you'll get them to the event, right? To sell them. So that was really good. I mean, it's so simple. I think it's simple. I think it's simple, but I do web pages all day. So, but thank you.
There you go. Well, you can play around with it. One of the things to remember, if you have Marketplace enabled, but you haven't connected Stripe, you may not see the Marketplace feature inside of your event. So even if we turn it on, the first step that you have to do as a user is you have to go to your organization and you have to connect Stripe. So this one is connected in my case, but if I wasn't connected, it would just have a little button here that says connect. And you click on that and it walks you through a very simple process that connects your Stripe account to Obvio. And that's it.
That was really good. One quick question. Thank you for telling me that. I'm assuming on the sales page that you can add an element for a video and just have like a little video, but I didn't see that as an option. You add a link?
Yeah, so you can. What that would look like is that would look like a content section. Okay. So if I go to the TVE and we go to the marketplace and we go to the shopping cart, and then at the same time, let's go to YouTube and just grab, let's just grab it. All right. So in this case, I'm just going to grab this video right here, and I'm going to go and I'm going to say, you know what, let's add a new section that's content. That gets added all the way down at the bottom. And I'm going to bring it right up to the top because I want this video to be right under my header. So then I go into the gear and I make this a single content. And I'm going to remove the title. But in my editor, I'm going to add the media for that YouTube video. Now I've got a video sitting on my page. So again, fairly easy to do. If I don't like how wide that is, you can make some minor adjustments using your padding controls, those are some features that don't exist in other areas, as well as margins. So you can get a little bit more advanced with some of this stuff. And again, this is why you can do it. It's not as easy as we'd like it to be. But that'll help.
It was really good. Wow, that's really good. Yay. I'm excited about that.
Sweet. I'm apparently going to just leave a Michael Jordan video on my TVE for sample sales page. All right. Did that generate any other questions for us, Heather? No questions.
Nope.
All right.
That was
Anybody?
amazing.
Cool. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We're excited. I think last week we talked a little bit about the new template that is coming out called Lefty. And remember how I said earlier this call, when I tell you a certain time frame, if you just double it, it'll probably be more accurate. So the Lefty template is definitely coming along. And there are things that I couldn't even show you last week when we were demoing it. But we have an event coming up in less than 10 days at this point, and we're using the Lefty template for it. So here, let me show you where we are with it. We're awfully close. So let me just actually grab an attendee and log in to that particular dashboard. So this is what the Lefty template currently looks like, or has the potential to look like. So we kind of call it a little bit of a cross between multiple templates, a little bit of classic, a little bit of cards. It's similar to those two things. So up at the top above the fold, you have a much larger header area, and similar button style, logo on the left-hand side, and a welcome image or a welcome message up at the top. So very, very, very similar, like I said. Then as you scroll down, you've got the sidebar, which in this case is on the left, which is where the name comes from. But you'll also notice that the content for the sidebar kind of overlaps with the header. That's a design choice that we've made for this particular template, and one that you can actually tweak. So there's a lot of customization in this particular template. So if I go up to my header area, in styling, there's right down at the bottom, there's a new slider that you haven't seen anywhere else that is called content overlap. And I can reduce or increase the amount of overlap that I've got, right? So here, you'll notice that I just reduced it. So it just kind of peeks into that area. Whereas here on this page, it actually goes in quite a bit. So that's one thing. Next up, if we were to look at some of our sub pages, so speakers, you'll notice looks pretty different. We've got a left and right kind of back and forth path for speakers, where you have their name and bio on the left, and then a photo on the right. These photos currently have a circular mask over top of them. So this isn't actually a circular image. This is actually a square image, but there'll be a circle kind of put over top of that image. We are in the midst of probably making some tweaks to how that works, but that kind of gets you there. You'll also notice that there's a header bar on this that also still includes the event logo. That's customizable as well. And then there's also new a new element in this particular dashboard that allows you to navigate a little bit easier. So there's like a little breadcrumb feature on our feature pages down at this in the submenu that allow you to head home back to the dashboard. If I go to the sponsor page, you'll notice that this in some ways looks similar to the sponsor layout on panels. So we took a little design inspiration from that. But one of the nice things about the sponsor page is inside of each particular sponsor, you can make some choices to what type of sponsor they are. So we have levels, different levels of sponsorship. And in this case, there's 4 different levels. There's 1 per row, 2 per row, 3 per row, and 4 per row. And what that means is on the actual page, on the sponsor page, do you want them to display as one sponsor that takes up the full row? Or do you want them to display as 2 sponsors on 1 row, 3 sponsors on 1 row, 4 sponsors on 1 row? So what you could see is if you had like a Diamond Premier sponsor who spent way more money than everybody else, you can put them right up at the top and have them have a single, a single window in sponsorship that is 1 per row, right? And then when you preview it, this is what it looks like. It goes all the way across. And then and I only have 2 sponsors in this particular demo, but you'll notice this next one, Tulsalin, is a 2 per row sponsor. So they show up smaller underneath on the next row. If we were to go in and we were to tweak that to have Tulsalin actually be 3 per row or 4 per row, then they'll get even smaller. So again, it comes down to, for people who are doing sponsorship, you see how it's even smaller. So, in this case, you can actually put 3 sponsors right all the way across. For users who are doing sponsorship or having sponsors at their event, what it allows you to do is create some visual separation between the sponsor types. Another way to say that is some visual separation indicating how much money they've paid you. Not necessarily to your attendees, but giving your sponsors who pay you greater visibility. So that's
like platinum, silver kind of thing.
Exactly. We haven't done it yet, but another thing that we're adding to this particular template is section headers. So for your people who are platinum sponsors or the 1 per row sponsors, you'll be able to have a header and a description for that section. Your 2 per row sponsors will have a header and a description for that particular section. Your 3 per row sponsors will have a header and a description for that particular setting, right? So you could have something in your 1 per row sponsor that is like platinum sponsors, and then the description. We want to take a moment to thank our platinum sponsors who have supported this event. Platinum sponsors are people who have been sponsors of this event for a minimum of 5 years running, and we just want to take this opportunity to thank them. They're amazing, yada, 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 right? Then you can go down 1 level down and have like our gold sponsors. Gold sponsors are the lifeblood of this industry, blah, 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 blah. And et cetera. So you can have some separation between your sponsors. It's something that we've been wanting to do, truthfully, probably since the first demo we did of the sponsorship page back in April of 2020 or 2021. So we're finally getting there.
That's really hot. I love the design. That's really awesome. I love looking at design though. That's awesome.
I like it quite a bit. You also have some cool flexibility in the Nifty template on the on the main spot or on the main page. Which is you can define where you want the logo to be positioned. So by default, it's on the left, but you can actually make it in the center. And then you can reduce the size of it because that would be kind of ridiculous. But now the exact same page looks different, right? Gives you a slightly different look. So gives you a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more options in terms of what you want to do. So I really like this template. I'm excited about it, to be frank.
Once we have an event that we picked one, we can't change the template, right? We have to have
You
it as a
can.
whole. Oh, we can?
Yeah, you can. Anna, the Lefty template, it's already on production. As I said, we have an event that we're using it for because I want to make sure that we always try and test stuff live, not
Right.
just in theory, but we try and test stuff live before we make it live for everybody. So it's already technically on the production system. It's just hidden from everybody. So yeah, there's a couple of functional changes that are still being made. My hope is that it'll go live by Friday. But that was also my hope last week when I showed you guys this. So let's hope
Good.
that it rolls out this Friday for real. To answer your question, Heather, you can actually go to the event and then template page and change the template that you are using. Now, with that being said, really, really, really important that you know that when you do that, not everything translates perfectly from one template to another. So when you
Right.
make that change, it's going to look weird. There are going to be things that are not exactly as you intended them because you originally designed them for template 1, and now you're looking at them in template 2. So you're going to have to make some changes and some tweaks, but way better than starting from scratch.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, I love the design. I don't know why. I really like it. Just feels good looking at it, you know.
Yeah, it's just a little bit, it's not a major departure from the stuff that we've done, but I think it's a nice upgrade. And then we have right on its heels. So as soon as this one is done, we have another variant of this same template that we're hoping to release this summer. So there you go.
Do we need a request, or is that going to be a rollout for everybody, or is that
No, when the template goes live, it'll go live for everybody. That's not going to be like a beta. It'll be live for everybody. And I'm sure the moment it goes live for everybody, you guys will find things that we didn't realize weren't working exactly as planned, because that usually is the way when we release a new template. But it'll be out there soon.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions that I can answer before we call it? I feel like I've been stretching for a half an hour. Yeah. I know Grant has tried to convince me that on every single one of these calls, we should be doing a walkthrough of something very specific. But I'm in Mexico this week, and I would like to get back to this. So I'm not doing
this. I wouldn't ask all those questions. I was just go get margarita.
I'm here to answer your questions 100%. I'm willing to answer them if you still have them, but we're not going to do a feature walkthrough on this particular call.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Go to Mexico.
I will. You guys have a great week, and keep an eye open in the Facebook group, because once we release Lefty, we'll probably put something in there just to let everybody know it's there. I know you guys know how to reach us in between. Oh, Amy, thanks for asking. Rosie is amazing, and she is with my mother-in-law in Myrtle Beach. I'm getting daily text messages with photos and videos of Rosie and how crazy she is. So she and Andy, my mother-in-law, get along very, very well. She gets more excited. Rosie gets more excited to see Andy than she does Barry and I. I'm convinced that's because Andy feeds her from the table.
She's got a pocket full of treats.
Yeah,
Grandchildren.
Yeah, exactly. So she definitely is like, oh my God, it's my grandmother. This is going to be so exciting. So anyway, that's where Rosie is. Rosie is this week, living the high life. All right, guys. Well, enjoy. If you run into anything along the journey of your live events inside of Obvio, you know where to reach us. Inside the app, there's live chat between 9 and 5, Monday to Friday. You can email us at help@obv.io. Then, of course, there's the Facebook group where you can always post your questions and not only get answers from us, but also from various members of the community who also know the platform inside and out. So have a great day, guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week, next Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern time.
Bye, everyone.